We are live back
We are.
with a special off-season edition of your wildest fantasy football show. We'll see if we get some familiar faces back in here. Some faces we haven't seen in a long time. Cody, what do you have to say to everybody out there? There's nobody out there currently, but everyone out there who may watch this,
May,
may
will.
not,
I'm
maybe
going to
for
say
the
will
first
watch it.
time.
Yeah.
I
I'm going to say
like your
will watch it.
optimism.
Yeah. Just say, welcome back. First one of the new year, 2022-23 season here.
First one in the new season. I don't know if it's the first one in the new year, but I won't catch you on the technicality this early into the show. We have plenty more to argue about. We have plenty to talk about. This is also going to get recorded, as all of our episodes have been and are. So feel free to watch it after. This is probably one of the few shows that we have that you can actually watch after when the recorded version comes out, and it still makes sense. But you don't know because it has been a wild free agency.
We're still working on Von Miller.
Oh, Jesus, who is this guy?
Kind of sorting out the kind of surprise team as Ian Rapp.
And there's still like plenty of things that could happen in free agency that kind of throw off all of what we have to say so far. But we're a few weeks in. Some crazy things have happened. And we're going to start off with the crazy thing that happened today. Breaking news, Tyreek Hill going to the Miami Dolphins. A few picks involved. First round pick. Back into the first round pick. Our first round, I believe, was 28. Second round pick. Dolphins still have 2 first round picks. So I don't think it really hurts them that much.
Not as much as other teams, no.
If you look at their team right now, they may be the fastest team in the NFL. I mean, you have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, who had an awesome season last year. And we can talk about how this kind of impacts him. They have a bunch of really speedy running backs. It kind of seems that has been really their motto on both offense and defense for a while, and now getting potentially the fastest player in the NFL.
Exactly. Dolphins, they're going to be quick. Are they going to be too quick for their own good, though? Who knows? Only time will tell.
That's a good question. Some people say you can't have too much speed, and now that's really going to be put to the test.
Right.
I mean, it's interesting when you consider Tua, and like now, especially with Teron Armstead, I think the rest of their offensive line still has some work to do, but you have 2 first-round picks. So there's plenty of time to still get to those issues. They still have some cap space to make some free agency moves, and there are guys out there. But, I mean, there's really no excuse for why Tua can't make it happen this year and this offense can't make it happen this year. It's gonna be interesting. I'm a little bit sad to see that move happen just for Jalen Waddle's sake. He was really blossoming into a guy that I think you would, if you are like me and take your wide receiver 1 pretty late, if you got Jalen Waddle in 4th, 5th round as your wide receiver 1, I think you'd be pretty hyped. And now I don't really know. I still have a feeling that Waddle and Hill are going to be a lot closer come end of the season than you'd expect. I just think Jalen Waddle will get a lot more underneath work. Right. So it's kind of a tricky situation in Miami right now, I would say. But we will probably talk more about them. I know they are on a few of my lists here. We're going to get into our trending ups, trending downs, a lot of stock kind of all over the place on these guys. Who are the guys that at this point in free agency are trending up for you?
Trending up right now. The first guy that kind of came to my mind was Joe Burrow. I think a couple quarterbacks are going to take a step down this year. Just kind of looking at what their defense is doing, what their offensive weapons are disappearing like. And I think the fact that the Bengals went out, picked up 3 solid old linemen to help protect Joe Burrow, the fact he has 3 amazing wide receivers out there, great running back in the backfield with him. I think Joe Burrow is going to take a monster leap forward, and I think he could be a guy who, at the end of the season, is quarterback 1 on the year. Like, all he was missing was a line. I mean, that's really all he was missing. Defense, obviously, but as far as he's concerned, he just needs a solid-ish old line. Like, anyone mediocre up there would have been better than what he had last year. So I think Joe Burrow is probably my favorite guy to go forward for the new year.
Yeah, I mean, I actually had as probably my number 2 guy on this list,
Mhm.
I had Joe Mixon for similar reasons, new offensive line. He was a running back 4 last year with no
Right.
O-line, and I guess it's more the argument could be made, how can you have your stock trending up so much from running back 4 on the year?
Right.
But I don't think we or many other people had him as a top even 8 running back, maybe 8, but not top 5 running back going into next year.
Right.
So I think this changes things for him to where all of the deficiencies with that Cincinnati Bengals offense are now fixed. And I think it's the same thing for Joe Burrow. Looking back before the show at where he was ranked, he finished as QB8. Obviously, he had 2 monster weeks to end the year, over 30 points. So you got to have a good feeling about him, especially with the Patrick Mahomes or the Tyreek Hill news impacting Patrick Mahomes. Like,
Exactly.
I do think Joe Burrow gets a boost. Did you have any others?
I said Mike Gesicki. If you add Tyreek to a team, Tyreek has the potential to blow the roof off of defense just like that, super fast. Talking about Jalen Waddle, also super fast. We have some fast backs out the backfield. I think defenses are going to be getting tired out quicker and also just spaced out way more when they play the Dolphins. And I think that Tua, who likes to throw like 6 yards downfield, would like a nice easy target in Mike Gesicki to just be there wide open. And I think he's just going to have a huge boost this year. I'm not sure where I'm going to put him for like the ranks, just because I don't know how the offense is going to look yet. But I like him this year. I think he's going to have a nice upward trending year for sure.
It's interesting with all those weapons to try to decide where all of them are going to land and which ones are going to see a boost and which ones, because inevitably, and I think it's going to be the same thing with the Raiders, adding Devontae Adams.
Exactly.
There's going to be some guys that benefit from it, and there's going to be some guys that see a drop off in production, unless their offense is going to go to massive heights and take over the league, which I think we both are a little skeptic of when it comes to the Miami Dolphins.
Right.
But I do think Gesicki is a interesting pick there.
Mhm.
I had as probably my number 1 trending up guy, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Mm.
I think he finished as wide receiver 21 at the end of the year last year. 23 plus points in full point PPR in 5 of his last 6 weeks. 8 catches in all of those weeks. We just saw them get him the ball and him become kind of a priority in this offense that was a bit more of a dink and dunk style. And regardless of who they have at quarterback, I don't think his involvement is going to change much. And seeing DJ Chark get added in there, I think a deep threat will open up the underneath area of the field a little bit more for him.
Right.
Getting DeAndre Swift back healthy, I think opens some stuff up for him, and potentially having a new quarterback, I think could help him as well. I am a big draft guy. I could see Malik Willis going there. I could see if this Baker stuff doesn't get resolved with a trade, I could see Baker potentially going there. So there's a couple options that I think make things better for him. And then if it doesn't get better for him with the quarterback or the added weapons of a fully healthy DeAndre Swift and a DJ Chark, I think that like he maybe just plays more consistently like he did at the end of the year. So it's looking good for him either way. I also had James Conner, kind of a similar situation to Joe Mixon. Not as much with the offensive line, but he finished high last year, running back 5. And now there's no Chase Edmonds. He kind of took off when Edmonds left, has that backfield pretty securely to himself now. And on a 1-year deal, I don't think they're going to be afraid to get all they can out of him. So
Exactly.
he's another guy that I would look for. I think he's not going to be drafted in the first 2 rounds, I don't think. And he could be a bargain as a 3rd round, maybe even 4th round pick at this point.
Yeah, I'm with you. James Conner, with the absence of Chase Edmonds. I like it.
Yeah. Any other trending ups for you before we get into the more negative side?
I put the Browns as a whole organization. Obviously, Deshaun Watson has some situation that he has to resolve on the outside. But talking strictly like about the football aspect of Deshaun Watson, 26-year-old maestro back there. He is one of the more talented quarterbacks in the league. What he can bring to the Browns, I think, is going to be big. They have, with Baker being the sole quarterback back there, they kind of just ran the ball a lot, and for good reason. No shade to Baker, just Baker can't throw. So
that seems like some shade.
No, I don't want to.
That seems like
no, it's not shade. It's
Cancun.
Just,
you just got a little tan, but now you're feeling the heat, and you want to sit underneath an umbrella, catch some shade. Sounds like you're putting Baker right underneath that umbrella.
No.
Baker's also, I'll give that. Baker's a fair-skinned individual, so
exactly.
He may need to get under the umbrella.
He needs some more shade. Yeah, he needs more shade than like other people. But I think if you asked anyone if you'd rather have Deshaun Watson or Baker Mayfield, I'm pretty sure almost everyone will be, I want Deshaun Watson, minus the extracurricular.
On the football field.
Yeah, on the football, strictly football aspect of it. So I think I'm not sure if their wide receiver core takes a bump, but I think Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt might both get a little bit of a bump just because they have a more mobile quarterback back there now, and they also have a quarterback whose arms has to be respected more than Baker's was. So I think that's going to like bring the defense back a little bit, maybe have a couple less guys in the box for them, open up some running lanes, and we both know how great Kareem Hunt can be in open space and how powerful Nick Chubb is just running through people. So
very fair.
I think that's a team that I like. I'm just not sure, how it's going to play out with all the extra stuff going on.
Yeah, I have them down to talk about, not in the next section of our show in the trending down, but in another section. So we can wait until then to to get into that argument. First, we'll get into the trending down players. I don't think I really have any shockers in this, and maybe that's for the best because it's guys that I actually think and feel confident are going to be trending down. And I'm going to be honest, this might feel like a personal attack at you, but it's not.
It's going to be.
It's not. I promise it's not. It's very justifiable but it just so happens to be two of your favorite players.
Well, this now just seems personal.
Myles Gaskin and Tyler Conklin. Obviously, Myles Gaskin finished running back 25 last year. You add Edmonds. You add Mostert. Edmonds averaged 13 fantasy points per game when fully healthy, or when he played a full game last year. And Mostert averaged 10 plus points in 2019 and 2020. I think he only rushed for 2 carries last year. I don't want to say he only played 2 snaps. He might have played a little bit more than that, but had an injury that kept him out all of last year. I just think that I don't know that it's great for any of those running backs back there. And if I had to give the edge to one guy, it wouldn't be Myles Gaskin. I think there's a reason that they brought in 2 guys, and not 2 guys that are like that different. 2 guys that have a little bit of a similar style. And I would think that those guys they brought in are going to play over him. Specifically, I think Edmonds is, if I had to pick one, is probably the guy, but I don't think you're feeling great about any Miami running back or feeling like this is one guy's job, especially with him, Mike McDaniel, coming from the 49ers, where you never really knew.
They had new running back every quarter. So, I mean, that's tough over there. It's justifiable. Chase Edmonds was a good back last year. And Moser, I believe, if I saw it right, since 2016, him and Tyreek have the 4 fastest times around the football field by a ball carrier. So, really fast in open space. So, justifiable for some Myles Gaskin downgrading this year. Yeah, I'm not sure who I'm going to trust in that offense, especially like having a 49ers X guy there who just threw everyone into the backfield at one point in time. Deebo Samuel is now a running back, so that's cool. I think Tyreek Hill might be the next Deebo Samuel, if I'm being honest. So I'm actually not even sure if any of these 3 guys are going to be the main running back. I think they're just going to put Tyreek back there and let him just run around.
That's very interesting. I like to hear that. I don't like to hear that because I think it minimizes the effect Tyreek can have as a receiver, which obviously gives you more points. But I do think that's a really good anecdote that I don't think a lot of people were thinking of. I certainly wasn't thinking of that. Tyreek Hill is the next Deebo.
Exactly.
I actually like that. I like that comparison a lot. That might be the biggest takeaway from the show. Your trending downs.
So, unpopular opinion. You might not like it, Kondo. Davante Adams. I have him trending down. Reason being, if you think of the weapons that were in Green Bay, minimal on the outside. Aaron Jones, very nice running back, but on the outside, was not very nice. Davante Adams is going to the Raiders, who have Hunter Renfrow, who I absolutely love. Hunter Renfrow also has to be downgraded a little bit too, just because Davante Adams coming in. You have Darren Waller out there. Darren Waller, a lot of people put him in the top 3, top 4 tight ends going into the season.
Very nice.
You have Josh Jacobs out there. Not the scariest guy, but it's a running back who can run through people. So you have more weapons to throw to right now than Davante Adams is going to be used to. Obviously, it's Davante Adams. He's still going to get his looks. But I don't think he's going to be like the number 1 guy this year. Like I could see him still having a top 10 season, but I think his numbers are just going to be down, going to a new team, going to a team that has more weapons than what he was used to. A different quarterback. I don't want to say Derek Carr isn't as good as the 37-year-old Aaron Rodgers that he just got done playing with, but Aaron Rodgers is a special talent too, but different style quarterback. So Devontae Adams was my big he was my big one that I had to throw up there.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, where I feel like all of those kind of new shuffled offenses, there's still uncertainty. I
Right.
mean, we'll talk about probably Denver with Russ, even though that's just the quarterback. Like, there's still some uncertainty there and how everything's going to play out. Like, I think any of those big changes or superstar additions or subtractions are going
Right.
to completely reshape the offense. I'm kind of scared to see who's going to be the odd man out. I think it's going to be Waller if I had to pick, but I don't know. Like, I wouldn't drop. I probably wouldn't drop Devontae Adams, but I can't blame anybody for doing so. I mean, I say that, but I don't know that he's the de facto wide receiver 1 or 2 going into the year now. So
Yeah.
I would
I
drop him.
Yeah, I do have a guy who I don't want to put up here, but I have to put up here
Yeah.
for fairness to the show. Cordell Patterson. Hurts me to say it. He only got a 2-year deal, 10 point something million. He should be getting 10 point something million every year. Just how good he is. He lost Matt Ryan, and he got Marcus Mariota. Enough said right there already. RIP to the throw game for the Falcons. Not exist anymore. It's going to disappear. They also don't have any wide receiver weapons out here that are going to scare anyone. They have Kyle Pitts, and Cordell Patterson now. That's it. They don't have the.
I would like. Can you try to name a wide receiver on the Falcons?
Can't do it. I think there's a guy named Sharp. Maybe Shannon Sharp came out of retirement, but
They did have Tajay Sharp. He is a free agent now.
oh well.
They had
he's gone now.
Olamide Zacchaeus.
Nope. They
You
have
can't say that
Chad,
one.
Christian, and Frank. I just looked it up. They have a Chad, a Christian, and a Frank. No one is going to respect this wide receiver core. Okay, we need not Chad, Christian, and Franks back here. Yeah, so I think Cordell Patterson. I loved him last year. Don't know if I can. I'm gonna have to see how the team looks, but I'm not. As of right now, I'm not loving it. Not loving him just because it's him and Kyle Pitts. I mean, and the quarterback can't throw. So you don't even have the veteran MVP caliber talent that is Matt Ryan. You don't have that back there. You have 99-year-old Marcus Mariota, the fifth. Can't do nothing. I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable in Cordell Patterson right now. He's going to have to take a hefty swing down the steps for me too.
Chad, Christian, and Frank sound like the guys who ask you if you want a seltzer at the turn when you're golfing. He was actually one of my biggest question marks. Running back 9, no Matt Ryan, no Ridley. Mariota, obviously, you mentioned it, can take rushes away, particularly at the goal line. I think it's the one time you're really worried about it. But then at the same time, like, if not for Cordell Patterson getting touches, who else? Like, who else is going to get the ball? Kyle Pitts, we kind of saw what happened with Kyle Pitts last year when there was no weapons around him. He got double teamed or gilly locked in the Panthers game. I just learned that that's Stephon Gilmore's nickname. That's a fun thing to say. So I don't want to see him get gilly locked. I want to see other receivers around him. Maybe not a Javonte Williams, because I want Javonte Williams to go to an awesome team, but somebody who's willing to sacrifice there to, I don't know, just take some of the pressure off Kyle Pitts, take some of the pressure off of Cordell Patterson. Will they go wide receiver in the first round? Probably not. Maybe in the second. I just don't think they're going to prioritize taking a receiver that early, especially in a deep wide receiver draft. But yeah, I'm a little bit worried about Cordell Patterson because of that. But I'm also like, who else? So that kind of keeps a little bit of the hope alive for Cordell Patterson with me.
Right. I mean, there are 4 decent named wide receivers currently still in the free agent market. You know, Jarvis, Antonio, Julio, and OBJ. Do I think that the Falcons, being led by Marcus Mariota, are going to have a very strong pitch? I don't think so. I'll be honest. I don't think that you could pitch that to anyone. And
Tajay Sharp did play for the Titans. I don't know if he played with Mariota. I think he did. So he may have an effective pitch there to bring him back to Atlanta. But we'll see.
maybe, but I mean, as far as like those big name guys who are going to like help alleviate Kyle Pitts and Cordell, I ain't seeing it. So those are question marks for me. Is the Atlanta team as a whole?
Mhm.
Am I going to pick anyone up? Maybe. Like if I have Christian McCaffrey and gets hurt again,
Mhm.
and maybe I have to pick up Cordell. Maybe, I don't know. Even then, might just pick up the 3rd string guy for the Cowboys.
Unless we just get a surprise out of nowhere from Chad, Christian, or Frank. Chad, Christian, and Frank sound like they belong in your fantasy league.
It's actually
At home.
it's even better. I'm still looking. It's Braden, Austin, Chad, Frank, Christian. So
they were all best friends at the most expensive private school on the shore
world.
of Massachusetts.
These guys are all Boston born and brewed. Actually, probably from Maine. Like
I can see Maine.
Lower Maine. So it's like they pretend to be from Boston every once in a while to sound cooler at frat parties. But
I get pure Vineyard Vines vibes.
yeah, these Braden, Chad. I'm not loving it.
Yeah.
Cordell Patterson's going to be on an island out there.
That's what those 3 names tell you.
Yeah, good luck.
More than anything. Any big question marks from you before we get into probably our Cleveland Browns argument?
Question mark for me would be like the Cowboys. I just don't know what's going on over there. Everyone was leaving. Like it was almost a mass exodus. Like spread open the floodgates. Everyone was like, can't do it. Don't want to hear. Amari left to go to the Browns. I mean, how bad is it that?
Well, he got traded. I wasn't.
But
I
he
don't think it
wasn't even
his
sad about it.
choice.
He didn't seem sad about it. I was told, I don't like to say this, but I heard reports that he called Dak Prescott a Kirk Cousins-esque type of quarterback.
Okay. Yeah.
And that just hurts.
Also heard those reports.
Yeah, I heard them reports.
Widely known. I thought.
Yeah, I don't.
I thought we were getting an insider scoop, and then you just kind of
insider
said
scoop
something
was-
that
No.
we all heard. Yeah.
Hey, some people haven't heard it. I had to say it. Had to get off my chest. I'm upset about it.
Kirk Cousins gets paid a lot of money though, so that might have been a
His
compliment.
agent is the best in the world, dude. He gets $40 million to sit there and be terrible. I mean, if I could have that job, I could throw for as good as Kirk.
Sit there and be average, I would say.
With more than enough weapons on your offense that you should be extraordinary.
No, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I think there's certainly some fantasy assets in Dallas. Like you look at Dalton Schultz, I think he is going to be a very underrated kind of late round tight end that I think you can get. Maybe not like super late, but kind of around that where Noah Fant, Dallas Goedert were last year. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb is going to have super value. I think Michael Gallup. I don't know that CeeDee Lamb is going to have a ton of value, but he's going to be drafted very highly. Michael Gallup could have a ton of value next year. It's going to be interesting to see where he goes in drafts. So there's some guys there. Obviously, the Zeke situation is pretty tough. Just with the kind of blocking of Tony Pollard and how they're splitting carries, it does dismiss kind of the value for both of those guys a little bit. But Dallas is, I think, a fair place to question. Now, into Cleveland, I have some question marks, mainly because I think there is a question mark at the quarterback position. Like, although some of the court stuff was settled and the trade went through and enough got settled so that trade could go through,
Mhm.
I think this is like kind of far from over as far as the NFL making the decision on what they're going to do with Deshaun Watson, if there's going to be any punishment for him. So I don't know that I feel like the biggest question mark that you could have is not knowing how many games your starting quarterback is going to play,
Right.
if your starting quarterback is going to play, when your starting quarterback is going to play. And that's kind of what they run into with this situation. I like you, if anybody asked who's the better NFL quarterback, Baker Mayfield or Deshaun Watson, last time he played, was an MVP caliber quarterback. So like he was in the conversation for that award. So it's an easy choice there, but not really knowing how this whole situation is going to unfold scares me a lot, from not really the Nick Chubb side of things, because I think Nick Chubb is kind of I don't think any situation matters. Nick Chubb, he could be running on hot coals. He could be running on our friend named Cole. He could be running at the department store Kohl's. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Cole's Chubb's running through him, on
Yeah.
him, over
And-
him. Don't matter.
Any circumstance.
Exactly.
So I just am not worried about him. I am worried about Kareem Hunt. We kind of saw his value. He was hurt for a little bit of the second half. I'm worried about the receivers. I mean, we haven't really seen David Njoku have like a big fantasy effect. We haven't seen Amari Cooper in a long time be that number one, like ton of catches guy. We've kind of seen him be this up and down guy. So we haven't seen that in a long time. I think he's probably the main guy that I'm concerned with. And we still need to get some other receivers here as well. So there's some things. Also, Deshaun Watson's been away from football for a full season. So I think there are going to be some bumps in the road here when Deshaun gets back, and we don't even know when he's going to get back. So I'm a little hesitant on paper. This offense looks awesome. I agree. But I think we've also said that before. Like, we've said that when they had Baker. We thought that this offense was going to be a lot better than it has been. And I don't think that's all on Baker either. So I think there's still some questions that I'd like to see answered from the Browns before we kind of jump to they're amazing. I'm not saying that you were saying that, but I'm saying that on paper, they look amazing. And it's very easy to jump to that conclusion without all this other kind of like crazy stuff. And they're going to have to deal with like a lot of just like non-football stuff in the background and distraction.
Yeah.
That has probably notably killed the Browns in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think Deshaun Watson, there's a couple people there's a big name guy who I won't say, but he's been away from football for quite a few years now. And,
I mean, I think you can say it.
no, I'm not going. I'm not going to give him the name time here.
Why?
You know what? Personal choice. Okay.
Okay.
Race of the hat, baby. Don't gotta say what's underneath it. But people still think he'd be a great quarterback in the NFL. Deshaun Watson I think when I don't think when he gets to Cleveland and like officially gets onto the field and all this is, taken care of, I don't think they're going to rely on him to throw the ball 25, 30 times a game. I think,
I feel like that's a minimum.
but for the Browns, though, I feel like they're going to be like, we're a run first team. Let's get you acclimated. Amari Cooper's used to getting 3 passes a game. They used to be running 3 tight end sets so often that David Njoku and I think it's Harrison Bryant. I can't even think of his name right now. They're used to getting like 2 or 3 passes a game. Kareem Hunt gets like 3 or 4 out the backfield. Nick Chubb maybe gets 1. I mean, that's all the targets there is. Jarvis isn't there. So if you add all that up, it's like 10 targets a game. I mean, Deshaun Watson not playing football for a year, pretty sure can hit 10 passes out of like 15. So I'm not as worried about Deshaun Watson when he gets onto the field. I'm just worried about him, for to get to the field to play. And I'm also worried about who will be the backup in Cleveland because there's a big ego in Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield will not, I'm not going to say he will intentionally sabotage. I don't want to throw that accusation out. But if a team brought in someone to replace you and then paid him like $40 million a year to replace you, I don't think you're going to be happy about it. He already demanded trade. He might not even try to play. So the quarterback situation for at least 6 weeks, I think, based off of the suspension, will be when it is officially handed out. I think it's going to be a 6-week one. It just depends on when they will hand it out. So,
yeah, I don't even know. Like, I'm honestly can't even jump to anything with that. Like, I think it could be anything from, like you say, like, I think it could be anything from like nothing to like a whole year. So I don't like that's, I think, the main thing that makes me say, yeah, that's a big question mark. They have Jacoby Brissett there to back him up. I'm not comparing the talent level of Deshaun Watson and Kaepernick, obviously. That's not what I was doing. But I think more so the big thing with me is like suspension seems like it could be looming, and I'm just unsure of like that everything's going to be as perfect as on paper it looks right away. I still think they're going to be talented. They have like too much talent. I do think Stefanski is a solid coach, but I think there can be some bumps in the road. Did you have any more question marks?
let me look through my thing here.
If not,
I had Dolphins. Dolphins were a big question mark for me. Just with, you got Tyreek, you have brought in 2 other running backs, you got a lot of weapons out there, and you have a quarterback who did not perform to the caliber that you would expect someone to if you're going to surround him with a bunch of weapons like right now. So for me, it's more of like, we know that there's talent on the team. We know there's speed on the team. And if you can outrun people, it doesn't matter if they're bigger and stronger than you. Their fundamentals might be better, but if you can outrun them, don't matter. You're going to score a touchdown, is what it is. So for me, it's the Dolphins are like what's going to happen sort of thing.
but it goes back to, do they have too much speed? That would be my biggest question.
In some cases, if we're I'm not sure if I'm lagging or you're lagging, but that was rough.
I don't know what just happened.
Oh,
so it was probably me.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. That's the one I'm worried about is the Dolphins. Not so much worried, but it's a question mark of who's going to emerge, especially in the backfield, who's going to emerge as a wide receiver. You have Tyreek there, so like there's an expectation Tyreek's still going to be drafted high. Same with Devontae Adams, even though I think like he's going to take a hit. Would rather be people are going to want to be wrong for taking Devontae Adams instead of being the idiot who didn't take Devontae Adams or Tyreek Hill. Like
That's fair. That name value.
the
plays
name
in.
value is there, which I don't know. It kind of let people down last year, so who knows? It let me down last year, so I'm going to be a little bit more skeptical this year when I'm doing my rankings about sticking away from the names. But
Well, going away from offenses that not necessarily when we maybe want to avoid, but that we have questions about, let's talk about some offenses to invest in. I think every year there's those offenses that kind of take over. I think of the Rams last year where, I mean, you had Cooper Kupp, you had Matt Stafford, you had whoever was running the ball. You talk about Tampa with Leonard Fournette, Brady, Mike Evans, AB when he was there, Godwin when he was healthy. Like everybody seems, and even Gronk as well. Everybody in the offense seems to go off. And early on, I'd like to get your thoughts on who you think one of those offenses can be, or at least an offense that you think can see a little bit of a boost in 2022 to 2023.
for me, it's the Bengals. Joe Burrow had a great season last year. Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, they had good seasons last year. And that was with a terrible line. Like, O-line might have been one of the worst in the NFL. This year, same talents there. But now you have like an O-line to protect your quarterback to help the run game even more. So Joe Mixon gets a little bit more love. So for me, I'm going to be investing in the Bengals. That's just a team I'm going to be looking forward to watching. I mean, Nick Bosa is pretty good player. Some people call him one of the better ends in the game. They picked up a guy, Bengals did, Collins, kind of neutralized Bosa in the playoffs. So you brought in a guy who can go up against the best when it matters and then still perform. So I think that sort of player is going to be beneficial to like the team in general, but also to Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Maisha P. Ryan if he ever gets playing time.
Is that you saying as of now, Bengals 49ers Super Bowl?
No.
That's tough.
That's
really
probably
tough.
our car. It's all right. We're just going to get all of our stuff stolen.
It's probably your okay. Yeah, that's a rough one. Never want a car to get broken into as you're recording.
No, it's a bad day.
I mean, the Bengals, I feel like that's a clear one. I mean, it's definitely one that you want to invest in.
That's the one that I feel most confident.
Dug as deep as I dug.
Well, that was the first one. So what the first one was.
Okay. Well, my first one's the Detroit Lions.
Interesting.
I think Swift was running back 15 last year, missed 4 weeks. We kind of talked about how Amon-Ra was. He was probably a league winner for some people with how he played in the last 6 weeks. So, I mean, I just think that this team, it was a young team going into another year. I think they're going to be better just with the pieces they have.
Right.
And I think they're going to get more pieces in the draft, more young pieces, and potentially, like I said, quarterback. And if not, I think Goff with another year doesn't make them like an offensive explosion of a team.
Right.
But I would just say more so, don't be afraid. Oh, it's Lions, guys. I'm going to stay away. I don't think you need to have that fear, especially when it comes to these two possibly budding superstars, may I say, that are playing wide receiver and a running back for the Detroit Lions.
Right. I'm with you. Detroit Lions are going to be interesting to watch. Slightly nervous about Amon-Ra St. Brown just because they did bring in blanking on his name.
Shark.
Yeah, they brought Shark in.
I think that makes me feel better about.
Well, they brought him in on a 1-year deal, and I think that's what kind of scares me.
But they
is
kind
that,
of they play different positions. I mean, they both play wide receiver, but
Right,
Amon-Ra's
but-
a little bit more underneath slot guy. Shark is your deep ball.
Right. But if you're going to pay a guy $10 million, I think you're going to try to at least shift at least a little bit to get the most bang for your buck there. So I would like the offense, though. I mean, again, told you, Lions were a team hard to hate on last year. Nitty-gritty team. My second team was the Jacksonville Jaguars, kind of. They got my boy,
Okay.
Evan Ingram. I think he's been on my fantasy team every year.
How has that worked out for you?
Oh, so far so bad. But he was on the Giants every year. Now he's on the Jags. So
Everyone knows about that Giants to Jaguar bump.
exactly.
Yeah.
But the Jags went out. They got like 3 or 4 defensive guys so far. They went out. They got Christian Kirk and Zay Jones. They have Trevor Lawrence, who I shit on rookie quarterbacks last year, rightfully so. They were pretty awful almost all the way around the board. Not all of them, but some of them were pretty bad. Trevor wasn't terrible,
Okay, this might be
but this
a
could
bit
be
of a
chance-
backtrack on your part.
This could be a chance for him to improve. I mean, Urban Meyer's had a hard time. It was hard out there for.
I think it was always. It was harder in some places than other places, but it was certainly a hard time.
Yeah, it was a hard time all around. Up, down, moving all around.
He did.
But without that, little
Well, we don't need to call it little.
without that average mess going on back there,
Thank you.
I think the Jags they're getting young weapons and they're building a young core on offense. And I'm going to be intrigued to see how they use it going forward, especially since they just paid like 4 new defensive guys. Their defense wasn't even that bad. They were decent. Like they had some good plays. They had some shining moments, but then obviously it just got overshadowed by everything else that happened. So that's a team I'm looking forward to seeing. Not sure how high I'm going to be putting everyone from the Jags, but it's a team I'm going to look forward to watching just because I think based off last year, there's nowhere to go but up. And I think that they have some pieces that can help them get there.
Yeah, this spoils my last offense I'd invest in
Mhm.
because I was going to say the Minnesota Vikings. Little McVay effect, I think, with a new head coach there. We saw Zach Wilson, or excuse me. What's the head coach? What's his last name of the Bengals?
The Bengals? Oh,
Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor. We saw Zach Taylor kind of have a good effect on the Bengals offense, obviously this year, but in the first year with Joe Burrow led the league in pass attempts before getting hurt. So we saw the offense kind of move a lot more. I think that I would expect to see that with the Vikings, a similar kind of thing, boost in production there just with that McVay system. And they have a ton of fantasy weapons that I think are good as well. Now, offense to avoid, my number one is the Jacksonville Jaguars, obviously. I think that's
unbelievable.
they spent $160 million, and they don't have an elite playmaker. Like they went out and got how many receivers?
They have Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, and Evan Ingram that they just brought in.
And they didn't get one like big time playmaker. And that's crazy. Like that's so Christian Kirk might be good.
Mhm.
Zay Jones might be good. Evan
also
Ingram,
have-
I think, can be good. Like
They
you
have
saw how
Marvin-
much
But they have
used-
Marvin Jones too. They
and
also
Marvin
have,
Jones did nothing last year.
but they also have Laviska Shenault. Like they have
Who has done nothing. Who's
Right,
like
but they-
potential. They're all potential guys.
exactly
But
young
why?
potential guys to grow together. Like to
You don't
get
you don't pay potential guys $18 million, $20 million a year.
well,
That's
you should. That would incentivize me like crazy to take care of my body. That will give me the money I need.
But that's the problem. You wouldn't have to. You would just have to. Someone would just say, "Hey, you got a good frame on you. I believe in you to turn your life around and get shredded in the next few months.
Mhm.
Potentially by I don't know when they start like camps.
like
Freaking
June, July,
yeah.
somewhere
By
around
then. I'm going to give you $20 million. So I just don't get.
Mhm.
I mean, I do get it. It's Jacksonville. It's Clown Town. We talked about this. I don't know if we talked about this, but it's pretty wide known. Jacksonville goes out and they spend money,
Mhm.
and then they just stink. And that's basically what they do. I'm a Colts fan. I might be a little biased in that, but I don't feel like if you told me my team was going to spend $160 million in free agency and our big acquisition, and that's not to say that I don't like some of the acquisitions. I think that Olukun is a good acquisition. I think Darius Williams is a decent acquisition. I think Fatukasi is an awesome acquisition. I like some of the stuff on defense, but like offense where it matters for fantasy and where they still shelled out money, particularly to Christian Kirk, which I think has been a pretty big thing. So I don't need to like talk too much crap on that, but they can be good. Like they can be, but why would you spend that much money to like possibly be good? And like there's no proven guys here, and there's a very proven track record of Jacksonville to just not be good. So I'm probably avoiding them. Also for the fact that like we don't know like who's going to be I mean, I imagine the top receiver is going to be Christian Kirk, although I'm not sure that I want to invest a fantasy pick in him that high. I think Evan Ingram is probably going to be the most valuable part with how much they use the tight end last year, and that worked for them. I know that the staff is new, but you bring in a guy who is probably best known fantasy-wise for having Zach Ertz and then Dallas Goedert. So, like, you feel good about the tight end position there. The running backs, obviously, you get ETN back healthy. I think there's just, like, a lot of who is going to emerge, and if they emerge, does it even matter because they're a part of the Jags?
I mean, fair, justifiable, fair. Low-known team. Some people have never heard of Atlanta Falcons. Some people have never heard of Cordell Patterson. All it takes is one guy. Okay, Cordell Patterson was.
But would you bank on that? Would you bank on that and like before the season starts and like Cordell Patterson was like the backup running back?
Exactly. Travis Etienne's the backup running back right now. So
I bet Travis Etienne is going to be drafted way earlier than Cordell Patterson was drafted last year.
Cordell Patterson, I think, was free. I'm pretty sure a lot of drafts he wasn't even picked up. So I assume he will be too, just because he has the name value. I'm just saying they have a young group of people that, let's call it as we see it. Veterans they're hard-headed. They're older. They think they know what they're doing.
They probably do. They probably know more.
Whether they're winning or losing, they think that they know everything. You get a group of young guys who aren't used.
That might be a little bit of a jump to conclusion.
I'm just saying, like the thought process that they're having is, we're not winning with these old guys. We lost with Urban. Urban had his ups, he has downs, his left is right. He had that. They're like, you know what? Screw him. Let him go. Let go, Urban. That's what we gotta say. Now they're bringing in a bunch of young guys who, you know, they're malleable still. They're like, you're gonna perfect this one thing. Like, you're gonna be a deep threat for us. You two, quick. You're agile. You're gonna be our underneath. We got Dan the Man still here. Dan, take control. Lead this offense. Trevor, learn from Dan the Man.
Still there.
Dan the Man's still there. He's back up to Evan right now.
He is.
Mhm.
That he is.
So they still have pieces. Dan the Man, you liked him last year.
I did like
call
Dan
him
the
Dan-
Man at one point.
You called Dan the Man. You called him that. You liked him. I heard it. My own ears.
I did.
So if Dan the Man can be functional in Jacksonville with all that went on last year, think of what's going to happen when they had 88 months off here to recoup, regroup, recharge, refresh, get some young speed demons out here who aren't going to get as tired. This is the team I'm looking forward to. Late in the season, these guys, I think they could have three wide receivers in the top 30.
That's
wide receivers.
blasphemous. Stephen A. Smith, that's blasphemous.
You heard it here.
They're going to just be bad. They're going to be bad, and they're going to lose, and they're going to be the Jags because that's what the Jags do. I'm a fan of the Colts. I've seen it. They beat us,
Mhm.
and I definitely don't have any pent-up aggression from that. But
you do. You're
they're
angry. I can see.
I mean, they're just going to be bad. I had the Eagles on there as well. I don't think they're a team that's going to be bad, but we kind of got the frustration from them last year of you never know which running back they're going to believe in and pick. Their receivers were really up and down, or their receiver was really up and down. Goddard is really the only guy that you want to invest in, and I don't think he's like a top 4 tight end. I don't think he's a dominant guy like a Kelsey or Mark Andrews. I would rather just stay away from the Eagles, especially when this is probably the second stint for Jalen Hurts, and I think they think he might be enough to win a division, but I don't know that they're fully committed to Jalen Hurts. So I think they could experiment with some quarterback changes if things don't go their way throughout the year. But more so, it's just you don't know what Nick Sirianni's thinking, and I certainly didn't last year.
I think I'd pick up Jalen Hurts just because
That's fair.
Jalen Hurts is a mobile quarterback in the NFL, and mobile quarterbacks for fantasy football or more typically tend to be more fantasy relevant than just pocket dead eyes. But I'm with you. Besides Jalen, I don't think I'm going to pick up anyone from this team. A team that you will probably agree with, minus one person probably, is Pittsburgh Steelers.
They were on my list as well.
Team I'm staying away from. I'm gonna, I'm half sold on Najee, half sold, not fully committed yet. Big Ben's a scary guy. Okay, Big Ben's a scary guy. Teams don't want to mess with Big Ben or his friends. Najee was Big Ben's friend. Mitch Trubisky is not Big Ben, for better or for worse. He's not the scary guy that Big Ben is. So we don't know if Najee Harris is going to have that, protection yet. We don't know, but Najee had some talent out there.
But he was an MVP.
That is true. Najee Harris is an MVP.
No. Mitch Trubisky was an MVP.
Can't be.
He was a playoff MVP.
No.
Yes, he was.
He's
the first MVP.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that he has that Ben doesn't have. I still think that the
It was an
Steelers.
MVP, not MVP.
That's what I
You're-
said.
You said, well, you didn't enunciate
I think I did
all the way.
enunciate
I
very
heard,
clearly.
I was hearing M, but it was an N.
I should have said N as in Nancy.
Yeah, Nacho.
Nacho
That-
Nacho does start with an N. So
Yeah,
you're good.
like I was trying to think of other N words, couldn't do it.
Don't say that. That's too close. I don't like the risk there.
I was not what I was thinking, but I'm glad you caught it.
Yeah. We try to stay far away from those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's. I mean, I think Najee Harris, I think, is the guy I'm gonna kind of feel comfortable with.
I think Deontay Johnson might get a lot of targets, but I'm just scared that this
The
offense
quarterback
is going to be.
position is it's rough. So he was another. That's another team that I'm kind of just like, what's going on? You know, what's how we doing back here?
Fair. Let's get into some rapid fire just to catch the signings that we might not have caught so far. Get through these quickly. We haven't talked about Denver with Russell Wilson really at all. I don't
I'm not
think.
sure about it.
Yeah, I'm not certain, but I don't think they're going to be like amazing. I don't think they're going to be awful. It's
I mean,
really
yeah.
kind of hard to judge. I think like maybe that's one that we'll wait and see on. Matt Ryan in Indy. Do we think that changes anything for Indy? I think Indy needs more weapons to really know whether that's going to make a big impact or not.
Yeah, I think we have to kind of wait and see. So Carson Wentz was injury plagued, to say the least, last year for Indy. So we didn't really get to see the full effect there. Matt Ryan is an MVP, at least in my heart. He is 39 years old.
36.
45, correct? He's up there. So
9 years younger than Tom Brady.
yeah, but no mobility, I think, is kind of where I'm hinting at here. Which hasn't really affected him all the way, in the past. He does have Jonathan Taylor back there, who was the best running back in football last year. Injury kind of pushed it that way, that he was the best, but he also did have a good season just by himself. I'm interested to see how it's going to be. I don't know. Matt Ryan's probably not a guy I'm going to pick up, but
I think it's more of his effect on the offense,
Yeah.
which I don't think is anything of note. We need more weapons to see
Right.
kind of his full influence on this team.
I'm with
Running
you.
back wise, I think just the one notable signing I would say is Leonard Fournette coming back. I think Leonard Fournette is kind of was under the radar last year and is probably going to be under the radar this year as well. It's a guy who caught a lot of balls and now might not have Ronald Jones in the fold with him. So someone to look out for. We talked about Devontae Adams, Allen Robinson taking the place of Robert Woods. Robert Woods going to Tennessee. Do you have anything to say on either of those two guys?
So we were kind of fooled last year in Tennessee. AJ Brown,
Hoodwinked, perhaps.
yeah. AJ Brown, Julio Jones, Derrick Henry. On paper, sounds like you're about to put up 30 a night. Okay, just easy buckets. Injuries happened. We were kind of lied to, but not intentionally, obviously, because injuries aren't planned. Wink, wink. But I don't know. I think Robert Woods. I don't think Robert Woods is Julio Jones, so I'm not expecting. I'm having a little bit less of an expectation as I did from last year with Julio Jones being there. I think it's good for AJ Brown to just keep getting all these older, experienced wide receivers to like learn from. I think that's really good for his development. But I'm not. Robert Woods doesn't bump stock for me right now.
Fair.
Robinson doesn't bump stock for me right now unless once I figure out Julio gets placed, Jarvis, Odell, Antonio, once those guys kind of get a new home or a pre-existing home, I think that's when the Allen Robinson stock might come up a little bit for me, just because we saw Robert Woods have top 30 success last year, despite Cooper Kupp being otherworldly,
Yeah, I think that gives me hope for Allen Robinson, depending on how this whole Odell situation works out. If he goes back, then it's obviously going to temper expectations for him.
Right.
Wide receivers, we could talk quickly. Juju, Jamison Crowder. You want to take one, and then I will take the one that you don't want to take.
Okay. I would take Juju because I don't like Juju. So I think Patty Mahomes is a better, more creative quarterback than Big Ben was when Juju was playing with him. We haven't seen Juju have success being the number one on a team yet, but Patty Mahomes is different, and he's going to a team that has Travis Kelce. I was more excited when Tyreek was there, so like earlier this morning when I started looking. But with Tyreek gone, it is now going to be Travis Kelce 1, Juju number 2. So I'm expecting a downgrade. Juju's not Tyreek Hill, but Travis Kelce is still going to be Travis Kelce, and Patty Mahomes is going to be Patty Mahomes-esque on the real football field. But I think his fantasy numbers go down this year. I think Travis's stay about the same, first or second best tight end in the league. But Juju is going to take a little bit of a bump up, but I don't think it's going to be Tyreek Hill-esque out there.
Yeah, and we don't know who else they're going to add. So Jamison Crowder is one that I think is a very interesting kind of like late, one of the last picks in draft probably that you can add. We've seen the success that Cole Beasley has had there, maybe not last year, but in the past. Before they had Emmanuel Sanders, they don't have Emmanuel Sanders this year. They have Gabe Davis, who I think is a very underrated wide receiver. We saw what he could do in that Kansas City playoff game, had 4 touchdowns and like 200 plus yards. But I think Jamison Crowder is actually a really good fit here with how much they look to the slot. Moving on to our last thing to cover today. When you have an outfit that's like just a really cool outfit. I wear a very cool outfit every week on a Sirius sports show. I dress up in a nice suit. It feels weird to not be in a suit on camera, to be honest. But people say you got big drip. The kids will
Drip
say,
too hard.
Yeah, exactly. They'll say exactly that to me. And we have some guys who are free agents, and we want the best for them.
Amen.
And we want to get them to some big drip fits. So we're going to pick some places that would be good fantasy destinations, the best fantasy destinations for a couple remaining free agents, and maybe not even free agents, maybe a guy who needs to be traded, find a new home in Baker Mayfield. Where do you think would be the best fantasy location for him?
For Baker Mayfield, Chicago.
Come on now.
Chicago's quarterback play was mediocre. Actually, it was like middle of the road for like a 0 to 0.1 out of 100 scale. So for me, Baker is going to go in there and he's going to be Baker Mayfield if he is traded there. He's going to go there with his big ego that he has. He does have knowledge. He's used to having a different head coach, almost every year, every other day, really. So going to Chicago would be no different. Chicago, Illinois is pretty close to Ohio, if people don't know that. So for me, I want to see him go to Chicago. I just don't think you can keep Baker on the Browns, and no team is going to give you like adequate compensation for Baker Mayfield, but I think you can trick the Bears into doing it because they're bad at making quarterback decisions. So for me, the Bears.
Baker missed 3 games. Okay.
He's
Baker
resilient.
missed 3 games. He finished 5 spots ahead of Justin Fields on the year, who missed 5 games.
Mhm.
I am probably going to pick a spot that I think I want him to go.
Okay.
I would say Carolina. It's tough because I was going to say the Lions, but I think they're going to get Malik Willis. I kind of don't even want to say Carolina because I think they might get Kenny Pickett, and I think Kenny Pickett could be a good option there. So, you know what? I won't say Carolina, and I'll go to the Saints. I think Jameis is like okay. I do think Baker has a few more tools, and I think it would be a good competition there to see what happens. I think there's a bunch of options for Baker to land.
You just want Baker in the NFC South, huh?
I guess so. I don't have Atlanta on the list, although I do have Tampa Bay on the list. And then I think I would probably say New Orleans or Pittsburgh would be my 2 for him. And obviously for Pittsburgh, he would have to get cut. But
I wouldn't mind the Saints just so we could put everyone who I'm going to stay away from on one team. That'd be cool.
okay.
Well, the Saints did lose. I can't think of his name. I'm having Teron Armstead, I think, right?
Yes.
They lost their big O lineman. So
I mean, they have a very good O line.
They do.
Ramczyk is there. Eric McCoy.
I just think it's going to be a little bit of a downgrade this year for the Saints in general. So for me, send them.
Jarvis Juice.
I don't know, because Jarvis wasn't really anything special the second half of the season once Odell was gone. So I think the best fit for him would probably be Kansas City. Like, I'm just going to say it just because I don't think him or Juju have what it takes to be the number one.
But don't him and Juju like do the same thing?
Yes. But I think it would make sense for them to go together, like to be together, because we haven't seen either of them have individual success being the number one guy on their own team. Travis Kelce would be the number one for them, and then they would both be splitting similar roles, doing whatever they do. And I think Patty would be able to save himself for at least a year of not having to like run around and scramble and just be able to do like quick, pitch and catch a little motion here. So I think for fantasy success, I would like to see Jarvis go to Kansas City.
I would like to see Jarvis on the Colts. I would like to see probably all of these receivers on the Colts.
Why the Colts?
Well, we need another receiver. MPJ Jr. I think he's awesome. We just need a couple other guys there. I think he actually could be very successful with the Colts. So maybe that will be my choice for Jarvis Landry. Juice is the Colts.
Would he
slot wide receiver? I think Matt Ryan has had success with like some slot wide receivers with Russell Gage in the past. So I wouldn't mind that.
I don't know. Jonathan Taylor was such a force last year, doing it kind of by himself, that I don't think
he was a force, but like I don't think the offense was a force. So if you want the offense to be better, I think he can make things easier on Jonathan Taylor.
He could. I don't know. I wouldn't mind either. I mean, Kansas City, Colts, both would be cool.
Melvin Gordon. Really, my answer here is going to be anywhere besides Denver because I kind of want to see Javonte get the backfield to himself. But I think there's probably other answers that are a little bit better than that. I originally thought that Buffalo would be a cool place for him to go. I don't know that that's really a true possibility now with the way that like some of their backs finished off the year, especially with Devin
Right.
Singletary finishing off the year well there. Maybe a place like Seattle. Seattle has some concerns in their backfield. Yeah, that's probably my answer because looking at like other backfields, I can't really think of anywhere that would be a more like he'll have a chance to start.
I don't know if I love Seattle. Russell Wilson is gone. So
Drew Lock though. Drew Lock's
Drew
awesome.
Lock is going to need help. He's going to need help, but I don't think Melvin Gordon's the man. I kind of want Baltimore. Little throw in the dark here. I kind of want Baltimore just because they have Gus the Bus. They have J.K.
Dobbins.
They have those two studs. Don't get me wrong. But think of the 4-man rotation we could get going here.
If anybody tears it, they had it was a very unfortunate situation.
Very unfortunate.
Seriously, very unfortunate situation where everyone got hurt last year. The running backs, we hope they all recover well. But in this situation, if something like that happened last year, they would at least have Melvin Gordon. So,
and I think Lamar does like to run it. All jokes aside, he does like to run it by himself. But I think if he has 3 guys who are rotating in constantly, all fresh, like 2 plays to you, 2 plays to Gus, 2 plays to JK, 2 plays to Melvin, I think that like swinging rotation would help improve that offense drastically. And again, if someone does unfortunately get hurt, which it's football, people get hurt, then I think like that would be like even a 2-man rotation of that would be pretty like lethal. And Lamar would still be able to run it. Obviously, he's going to run it anyway. It is in his nature.
Fair.
I think the Baltimore Ravens would be an interesting team. I like Seattle. I just don't think he likes Seattle.
Okay, and you know Melvin Gordon much more than I.
Yeah, I mean, we have dinner every night, so.
Odell, I'm going to go Kansas City. I just think that that's the best situation for him. I think that he would be a really good fill-in. I don't think he is Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is kind of one of a kind, but I think he would be a good fill-in there.
I'm going Green Bay or Kansas City. Those are my 2 for Odell. Odell did tear stuff up late, so not sure how healthy he will be in the beginning part of the season. Aaron Rodgers lost Devontae Adams. That's a lot of shoes to fill. A healthy OBJ might be worth the shot. But yeah, Kansas City or Green Bay would be my choice for OBJ if I could pick.
Julio Jones. I mean, I'd love Indy, obviously.
Yeah, you would.
He can come. I mean, Odell can come to Indy as well. I had a place, and I forgot it. So that's really going to be a tough thing for me to recover from as I try to stall.
I got it. Oh, okay, good.
San Francisco 49ers. Reunited with Kyle Shanahan on the outside. Ayuk was good last year at times, but there seemed to be something going on where they didn't trust him all that well. I think Julio Jones reunited uh, with Shanahan when they had that awesome offense is
Mhm.
something that he could be interested in, and something fantasy wise would be super attractive as well,
Right.
especially with them using Debo more in the backfield late where he wasn't even getting that many catches a game.
Right. I don't hate it. I have 3 teams for Julio just because I think he is going to be fully healthy at the start of the season, which I think is going to be a plus.
Please don't say Miami.
First team, Washington. I
Yeah.
think Carson Wentz needs someone to throw to. Quite literally, it's his job. Quarterback throws the ball. Second team, a little biased, Minnesota. I would absolutely love to have weapons in Minnesota and see them used. So that'd be cool. Be awesome. Third, more of just a personal preference for me, just because Antonio Brown quit mid-quarter on this team. Gronk still hasn't been officially signed to this team yet. The Buccaneers out here, Buccaneers, they don't need, but I think they have a good shot to go pretty far in the playoffs. And I think Julio is he's not old, but he's kind of old for a wide receiver. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think he kind of wants to head towards a championship right now and win. 28-3 is going to haunt him for a while, but I think the Buccaneers would be an interesting spot for him because he could be better than Antonio Brown.
Mhm.
You know, I'm not. That's a debate for another day.
But yeah,
It's a debate for another day. I'm not. I don't know.
Fair.
Maybe. But I'm just saying, like, if he goes to the Buccaneers, their team would look pretty filthy on paper.
for sure.
And I think that would be an interesting spot to go in search of like a ring sort of thing. So those are like the 3 teams for me. Minnesota, more of just my sort of fancy shot, but Buccaneers and Washington would both be teams for Julio, like realistically.
Mhm. I didn't put Antonio Brown on here. Must have forgot. But
Antonio Brown is an interesting guy.
I would also throw him in Kansas City. I think Kansas City would be a really good fit for him.
I think he needs to go to the Dolphins. Just has to. Are we going to do defensive people or no?
No, I was just focused on more so the fantasy impact of
Fair,
these
fair.
guys. And the last one is Will Fuller. And I think Will Fuller, for me, is a pretty easy one. I'm going to say Cleveland. They still need a guy opposite Amari Cooper.
TPJ.
I think
Yeah.
they have DPJ, but obviously Will Fuller had a lot of success with Deshaun Watson. And I think that having that guy there and having it not seem like he has a huge market,
Mhm.
I think the Browns kind of would be the perfect fit, especially fantasy wise there. I think it's one of the few places where Will Fuller, in my mind, when healthy, has the chance to be possibly the number 1 receiving option. I don't know that he's as good as Amari Cooper, but I think that relationship that he already has built up with Deshaun Watson would obviously help.
So I'm with you, but I think I'm more with you if he signed like a 2-year, 3-year deal sort of thing with Cleveland. I don't think it's just for this year, just because again, Deshaun Watson has his like concern for this year.
Yeah, whatever
I'm
whatever
not-
Will Fuller decides to do or wants to
Yeah.
do time-wise.
Yeah, so I'm not
That's up to
sure.
his discretion.
That's
It's only
what-
my choice of where he plays.
That is true. You get a pick. You are the boss. I just don't know how I like Will Fuller. If he went to Cleveland, it's predominantly known as a run first offense. So for him, he would have like Deshaun Watson would have to be like like Deshaun's punishment would have to be publicly announced like soon, like tomorrow, and it'd be like I don't know, like soon, like before Will Fuller gets like a nice juicy offer from like the Falcons or some random team like that. I want to see him go to Green Bay. I just think Will Fuller in Green Bay would be interesting. I think Aaron Rodgers needs wide receivers. They do have some
He
draft
does.
picks. he's been needing wide receivers for forever to complement Devontae Adams, but to no avail. So that kind of stinks.
Yeah, it's
But
too
I
late
really,
for that.
I mean, unless he gets traded to the Raiders, which would be awesome. You know, Derek Carr and Green, it'd be a nice sight to see. It'd be cute, but that's neither here nor there. So I'm not in charge.
Unfortunately, none of us are. Or this would be a lot easier of a process to judge fantasy football. That is our show. Fairly concise for us. We'll leave you with this fun fact. Did you know? Actually, this is probably just good advice rather than a fun fact. Put 2 caps. I don't like how they wrote this. Put 2 caps and pure vanilla extract. I think it says, I don't know how they meant to word this. This was a very bad idea to sign off the show with. I think you can just put pure vanilla extract and place it in your oven for an hour.
Mhm.
And within 20 minutes, quote here, your house will smell like heaven. I don't know what heaven smells like,
Almost heaven.
but probably close to that. That's what we'll leave you with today. Hope that this was a helpful episode. It was very nice to get behind the mic, talk some ball.
It was nice to get back into the swing of things.
Oh, yeah.
Even though we're not going to get all the way back into the swing of things for another couple while here, but
We'll probably be back with an episode after the draft. Talk about whoever signs. There's probably going to be some signings before then and between here and now and the draft. There's going to be some draft picks that we'll be able to talk about. A lot of top wide receivers coming into the league. So plenty to talk about then, and we will see you guys all then. Thank you for watching. By the way, Cody, this might be a good time to tag what else we do and where you can catch us in the meantime.
we both do a lot of things in the meantime.
That's true.
I'll let you start, Kondo.
I do a show called the Series Sports Show. It's on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram at Ryan_Kondo, or you could follow, I don't even want to say or, I want to say and, because you can follow both of us. A Series Sports Show at _Ass Show. It's unfortunately named on there, but it's named nonetheless. Dodie, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitch at NavyBaby21. That's where I be more times than not. I'm new, so don't pick on me for being terrible at everything I do on there. But eventually, we're gonna get there.
Yep.
We're look
Just
good.
repetitions, little repetitions.
You know,
We'll
that's
get
what
there
they
eventually.
tell. That's what they tell you. But they don't tell you how bad you look in the meantime. So it's a little
That's
unknown.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I look bad anyway. So like for me, it's nothing new. I just another day, another dollar. That's what I like to say.
Well, at least you're making money. That's
Well, I mean,
better than
not-
I.
No, I pay $1.
Well, that's really bad to be ugly and then have to.
It's like a
$1,
double
yeah.
whammy. Yeah, it's like it was like, oh, you're ugly, bam. Oh, and you have to pay some random
Yeah, and
person
you get
$1.
like taxed for it almost.
Yeah, it's the ugly person tax.
That's the
It's
price you pay. It's the price you pay.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it for us. And we'll see you guys sometime.
soon.